The real moment of contrast between Titus and Aaron the Moor is actually staged in Act 4, Scene 2. And this is the moment when the nurse brings Aaron's illegitimate baby from Tamara to him to be christened. Of course, by christened, the nurse means sacrificed or killed. The baby, the black baby, would reveal that Aaron and Tamara have had an illicit relationship the whole time during the play and would compromise her position as the spouse or empress. Now, what's remarkable about the scene that's kind of easy to forget in the way we sometimes can sentimentalize Aaron's attachment to his own son is that this baby for Tamara and Aaron and Chiron and Demetrius and the Goths is the key to everything, right? They have gone from being slaves who were defeated horribly and had their brothers sacrificed in front of them to being at the top of the Roman Empire. It's a remarkable turn of events. But this baby threatens everything. That's why when the baby is born and it's obviously black, Tamara sends it to Aaron to kill it, assuming he would readily, because the baby would compromise all their schemes. Aaron, of course, rather surprisingly, refuses to do so. Now, I would argue that this begs the question: what moment, what narrative in human history is it bad not to kill your child? And the only narrative out there that I can think of comes from Genesis 22. Now that's an incredibly important narrative. That's the story in Genesis where Abraham is asked by God to sacrifice his son, and he willingly does so. And that story is so important because it's the story, the linking story of the three Abrahamic faiths: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. It really is sort of what pulls them all together. Abraham's willingness to give himself completely over to God in this seemingly crazy gesture. And that ties us to Titus and his willingness to sacrifice children. But Aaron here does the exact opposite. And Shakespeare, quite conspicuously, I want to suggest to you, stages this scene within the context of Genesis 22. One thing you might not know, but you should keep in mind, is that some of the plays Shakespeare saw as a child were the English mystery plays or cycloplays. And these were plays put on throughout England during particular times of the liturgical calendar, wherein townspeople would get together and perform or act out famous narratives from the Bible. And they would do so in groups. So, for example, the shoemakers would act out Noah's flood, and the hat makers would act out Adam and Eve, and another group would act out Abraham and Isaac. And the Abraham and Isaac narrative, you won't be surprised to hear, was one of the most compelling dramatic narratives, a big part of this cycle play tradition, which was a very sort of Catholic theatrical tradition that the English Protestant world got rid of because they didn't want you directly representing events from the Bible. That would be idolatry. You couldn't show events from the Bible throughout most of the 16th century in these kind of community theaters. So Shakespeare's professional theater adopted some of the religious energies from those older plays, but couldn't stage them directly in a biblical context. But in Act 4, Scene 2, as we'll see, Shakespeare really seems to be hearkening back to some visions or memories of a staged version of Abraham and Isaac.